Imagine, if you will, a boxing match where one opponent is just being pummeled again and again, the aggressor landing blow after blow perfectly. Now, to the untrained eye, to the non-boxing fans, you might think, well, it's a bit of an unfair fight. You know, this guy's just getting absolutely hammered in the ring. But to those that know boxing, they'll know that that's a proper prize fighter that's in there. Now, let's take that metaphor and let's change the person getting a good kicking into manufacturers such as Peugeot, Vauxhall, Fiat, Toyota, Nissan, Honda. And the prize fighter? Well, that would be Kia. Because I'm down in Barcelona, not to look at one car, not to look at two, but three. And this one is the most important. Welcome to this week's edition of Sneak Peeks. Welcome to the new Kia EV4. And as always, welcome to AutoEV. Now, before I get started on this week's sneak peek of Kia's new EV4, it is of course the time when I'm just going to remind you, if you don't mind, just to make sure you subscribe to the AutoEV channel. Yeah, go and do it now for us. Yeah, thank you. Once you've done that, press the bell buttons down below, because that's the way you'll be notified when the next video is uploaded and it's gone live. And of course, once you've watched the video, if you do enjoy it, and I hope you do, then give it a little thumbs up. And of course, don't forget, leave us your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about the cars we feature on the channel, such as the new Kia EV4, and of course on the AutoEV channel as a whole. Hang on a minute, Brian, I hear you all say, 3 new cars, I only see the one. Well, there's another 2 back over there. There's the Concept EV2 and there's the new PV5 van. I've flown out to Barcelona. The UK guys were here a couple of days ago. I couldn't make it. I've come a couple of days later with the Europeans. So you've seen a lot of videos. You've seen the rest. Now watch the best, as they say. I don't have time to do the van today, but I will get a video done of that as soon as humanly possible. But you'll also be able to see my EV2 concept walk around as well. But this is the important one, the EV4. Why is it important? Well, it's a C-sector hatchback. In some respects, it's a little bit bigger than a C-sector hatch. We'll talk about the market position a little bit later on. But this is a massively important car for Kia, especially in the UK. In fact, especially in Europe, because it's actually the hatchback is going to be built in Europe. You're going to have this as a 5-door hatch and a 4-door saloon. The saloon is probably going to be more sort of like popular in likes of the Asian markets and of course North America when it goes on sale there. But it's the 5-door hatch that the Europeans are going to be after, and of course us Brits as well, because I say it's a big market sector and most of the manufacturers are playing in it now. Volkswagen, Renault, Peugeot, Vauxhall. So as I say, it's a very important car for Kia. And as we know from Kia, they're not ones to usually take things sort of like lying down. They're going to be very, very competitive, both in terms of their efficiency, their battery sizes, their range, and of course price. But what's it like? Well, let's take a little deeper dive into the EV4 and find out. Right, let's start by talking about the design of it. First time I've seen the car in the flesh today, and I have to say it is one of those cars that does look better in the flesh than it does in photographs. There are elements I like about it, there are elements I'm not so sure about. On the whole, I quite like it. I have to say the 5-door I think is a better looking car than the saloon. Personally speaking, you might prefer the saloon. But it's very Kia. This is their opposites united sort of design language. You can see a lot of element of Kia EV6 at the front of the car, can't you? And in some respects, you do think of that car, you know, when you do look at this one, it's immediately, if it flashed past you in the street, you'd go, that was an EV6. But it's not. And it's not a crossover, it is a C-sector hatchback. That's the important thing about this. So this is them covering the bases in this market space. Anyway, there we go. This bonnet, you can't really see it, and the grey is not a great colour for it, but it does drop quite sharply there into this arrow nose. But whereas the EV6 has got those wraparound like star map lights here, the star map lights on the EV4 are vertical, you can see there. And of course the vertical headlamp stack as well. It's bringing me in mind as well as with a Lamborghini. There was a Lamborghini car that came out, and I can't remember what it was called. I think it might have been a one-off, one of their specials that had lights not dissimilar to that. And of course, it being grey, which Lamborghini do a lot of their cars in, it sort of looks like a love child between that Lamborghini and an EV6, I think. That's no bad thing if it looks like a Lambo at the front, is it? Anyway, big Kia logo there, front-facing camera. Very similar to the EV6 here. Look at that jutting sort of like front splitter while you're cooling down at the front there. And there's your radar sensor for your radar guided cruise control and your front parking sensors. But yeah, it's quite a sharp car looking at the front. It's got quite a drop to that front nose. But it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And maybe you'll see more of what I'm talking about as we go to the back. Right, forgive this slightly rushed walk around. As I say, there's a lot of people clamouring to get into this section. I've only got an hour with this car, and I've got a flight to catch as well. And I've just got some notes here as well, so I want to talk about dimensions with you. Remember what I was saying about being a C-sector hatchback? Get your laughing gear around this. The car's 4.5 metres long, okay? Which puts it 200 millimetres longer than an ID3, okay? It's also longer than a Renault Megane E-Tech. And it's just a smidgen longer than a Peugeot E308. So it's top end of that C sector, okay? The 4-door competes in the D segment saloon sector, and that is 4.7 metres long, and that's 10 millimetres longer than a Tesla Model 3, okay? And it's actually, obviously, it's 4.7 metres long, the 4-door, so it's got a bit longer than this car, okay? They share the same wheelbase, however. Okay, so the distance between wheels is exactly the same at 2.8 metres. So it is a, you know, it's a big C-sector hatchback and a D-segment saloon. That's how Kia are sort of pitching it at. Okay, they're covering two sectors with two body styles, if that makes sense. Wraparound visor graphic there, you can see there. This is their opposites united sort of design language. You see where you've got the bold sort of like, you know, geometric lines of the wheel arch, but then of course it flows into sort of like the more harmonious sort of like curvature of this panel here. There's no sort of like sharp shoulder line there. That's the sharp line there, and that's the soft one there. But again, you can see these upright, very sharp lines there. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. And that's the area there that's maybe a little bit jarring at first. I think it's a better looking car than the saloon. Enter some B-roll now, but there we go. Flush door handles, as you can see fit. But for not being a crossover, it's still got the plastic wheel arches and a bit of plastic cladding down at the bottom as well. So that's interesting. Wheel size in this one are 19s, but I think they start at 17s on the Air trim. But there we go. Yeah, it's a good looking car. Jury's still out for me. I like the front. That area's a little bit, I'm not sure, but I'll show you the back end now in a bit more detail. I can't get the camera over there because it's quite a tight studio, but that's why I've shown you at this angle. But yeah, hopefully the space inside will be good. Maybe that's why it looks like that. Is it just me, or does his bum look like an angry robot? And that's what I think of when I see the back end of a Kia now. But I like it. This is a bit I like. I really like this bit here. Look at these lights, the way they go into the tailgate and then drop down vertically. That's your star map there. Again, big brushed Kia logo there. Reverse camera beautifully integrated into that light bar. Well, it's not a light bar, but you know what I mean, the centre section there. I like that. That's nice. There's a rear wiper. It's tucked way up in there. Brilliant Kia, well done. Big roof spoiler, helps with airflow, fantastic. So it's nice clean at the back, but there is a rear wiper. Practicality. See, Kia do it, why can't other people do it? More plastic cladding, but again, of course, it helps you if you bump the back end of it as well. You're not replacing big expensive painted panels or getting the back end painted. There's a reversing camera somewhere. Oh yeah, as I've told you about it there, it's the boot releases underneath there and reversing sensors down the bottom. Right, you can see what it looks like. You'll have watched other people's videos, I'm sure. I quite like it. It's okay. It's better in some angles than it is in others. What do you think, however? Because that's the important thing. What do you think about the car? Would you come out of your ID3 for one of these? Would you trade out your Renault Megane E-Tech for one? Would you trade out your Tesla Model 3 for the saloon one? As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Right, let's talk practicality now. I'm quickly conscious of the fact I've got a plane to catch very shortly. Come on, boot. Right, 5-door hatchback we're looking at here, 435 litres of boot space. Looks quite shallow, good volume, but looks quite shallow to me. And that's the thing I think with Kias, and well, data suggests Korean cars. I always think that. Ioniq 5 is very similar from Hyundai. My Genesis GV70, exactly the same. Decent size of boot, just doesn't seem very tall that way. A Megane is much deeper. Now, to give you an idea, a Megane is 400 litres against this 435. An ID3 is 385 litres. So it's, you know, it's bigger than both of those in terms of overall volume. 60-40 split rear seat. I don't know what the total capacity is with those down. If I find out, I'll pop it on the screen down below. Just to give you figures for the saloon, by the way, that's 490 litres, this saloon, and in comparison with the BYD Seal, which is 400 litres, and a BMW i4 470 and a Tesla Model 3 425. Of course, but that's not including the Tesla's frunk, so just bear that in mind. False floor, cable storage underneath. Relatively high sort of like sill to sort of get things in. That's sort of my high thigh height, I suppose. So if you're lifting push chairs, wheelchairs, heavy suitcases in, maybe. But as I say, it's just that depth there doesn't seem particularly deep to me, but it might be all right for most people. A couple of hooks to hang things on, some retaining straps for luggage straps or luggage nets, but that's about your lot. But yeah, decent size of volume, but how practical it's going to be in the real world, who knows. Oh, there we go. Okay, there's a lot of space here. Okay, so this is part and parcel of the much bigger car. There is a huge amount of leg space here. Headroom is good for me as well. I'm 5'8". There's no panoramic roof in this car. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be something that I haven't seen it in the press pack, but headroom is good. It's absolutely fine. It's not too bad in terms of feeling claustrophobic either, because you get these little quarter lights. See those ones up there just behind the door? You get those little quarter lights as well, so they let a little bit more light in. So it's not too bad back here. The only thing I will say is you do feel the floor being pushed up. Now, of course, that's the downside there, I suggest, with it not being a crossover, because the floor feels more pushed up. It's a C-sector hatch, because so the battery height is only going to be about to be so far, and as they push down, something's got to give, and it's this bit in the middle. So I'd say if you were a taller rear passenger, you'd find your legs pushed up. But actually, it's not bad. It's not horrific. I could certainly do a distance in the car. And actually, in fairness, that's probably more important in some respects. I can't quite get my feet. I can, I suppose, in some respects. I could jam them in there, but it wouldn't be very comfortable. But it's decent enough. Okay, right, folding armrest, 2 cup holders, cubby down there for your polements, USB-C ports on the backs of the seats, all stuff we've expected from Kia. This car's got heated rear seats on the outer side, and obviously you're full electric windows. I don't know why I mentioned that. Matte pockets are the airline style ones at the back. Don't mention airlines to me. British Airways, you were bloody late this morning. And this usual ET head, sort of like back to the front seats, you've got a bit of a grab handle there. So as I say, it's quite nice. It's okay. There's a decent amount of room back here for most people. In terms of a family car, you know, you can't expect much more. It certainly feels bigger in the back than the likes of the Renault Megane. It feels bigger in the back than the ID3, and the ID3 is quite decent in fairness. So I'd say in terms of those cars, in terms of its overall volume of space, it's certainly bigger than most in the class. But as I say, that's the only thing I do find is the floor being a little bit pushed up. You've got ISOFIX points, but they are just protruding between the backrest and the squab as well, so they're not covered by little bits of plastic and stuff. But on the whole, yeah, it's all right. It's a decent sized family car. What do you expect for the size of car it is? Right, interior. Well, if you've been in sort of like Kia, any Kia's new product over the last couple of years, then this is going to start to look quite familiar to you. EV9, EV3, those type of things. But again, quite different in some respects. Good use of material. This is the material that's on the dashboard there. I do like that. Kia really pushing themselves, you know, with materials. This is what they make a big focus on. There's big talk of sustainability with it as well, which is quite cool. There's a little QR code on the door panel you can scan, and it'll tell you about their must-have materials in a car. You know, and they're using a lot of sort of like recycled, so the leather in the car isn't actually leather. You know, it's this pleather, for want of a better word. But again, it doesn't feel bad. You know, it's got this sort of like slightly, almost kind of dimpled effect on it as well, which is quite cool. Quite like that. Talking of cooled as well, you can get cooled seats on the car. See what I did there? Right, so I can't switch the car on because it's in the studio, but there'll be some B-roll I'm sure I can put up of it. I'm saying I can't switch the car, I'm not allowed to. Oh, shh, don't tell him they did that. Right, so you've got the 3-screen layout, 12.3, 12.3, 5 point something in the middle here for your climate control system, okay? Which at first you think, oh, that's a bit odd because it's obscured, especially if you're driving like that, because you can't see it. It doesn't matter because the controls that you need, i.e. temperature and fan speed, are actually physical buttons here, you know? So and the mode as well, so where it goes to the airflow direction, there's 4 physical buttons. So actually, although you can use the screen, you don't have to. And if you press the corner of it, it goes into this big screen here, okay? So it's not as bad as at first people make out, because actually it's, you know, you can make it bigger. But it's the typical screen layout that we've known from Kia for a while now. So 12.3 inch driver's display, 12.3 inch infotainment over here. However, it has changed somewhat because now there's a lot more tech on the car, which obviously, you know, we're going to make a big thing of now. There is a thing called theatre mode in it. So you can now have things such as, for extra cost, obviously, you know, Disney Plus, Netflix, YouTube, and these screens can go into theatre mode. So when the car is parked, I think you've got to be parked, obviously, but it will then blend them all together so you can watch things. And it will do. Now, I did write this down, so excuse me, because as I say, I want to make sure I don't tell you any wee fibs here. A wide range of games in the car with an aspect ratio up to 21:9, as the screens will combine to give a 30-inch display in theatre mode. So there you go. Physical buttons below that as well, integrated into it. So your haptic buttons there, so you can press home and it goes straight to home. You press map and it brings up the map. And so, as I say, we've seen this in the EV3 and the EV9, and I think it works really, really well. I think they are going to do this silly table thing as well. It's not on this particular car, but this one's got better storage. So actually it's got a lot of storage. You got an armrest in there, an opening armrest for, you know, your packets of crisps in there. You can put your Mars bars or your Snickers bars in there. Down here you get multi-packs down in there. There's loads of space down there. And of course your 2 flip out cup holders as well. In front of that there's the wireless charging pad as well, plus connectivity here with USB-C ports there, and a 12-volt socket as well if you're still old-fashioned. So all nicely done, all nice and easy, but it still makes the cockpit feel nice and open, I think. You know, so although you've got all of this storage space, although there is a console, the cockpit itself feels a nice and open area to be in. New style 2-spoke, I'll start again. New style 2-spoke steering wheel. You know, which is a nice wheel actually. I was driving an EV3 Air with this style of steering wheel on it, and I really like it. Physical buttons. See, Volkswagen, they do work. And of course, usual stuff, you know, cruise control over on the left, media controls over on the right, and Bluetooth, a drive mode button integrated into the spoke there, and the 2 paddles behind the steering wheel to adjust brake regen. Driver information, so your driver monitoring display camera and on the cowling there, 2 column stocks, and your big wand transmission lever there. So twist forward for drive, back for reverse, push. What do you do? Push for park, and then the start button, the EV button just on there. Cool, like it. The seats, yeah, got to mention the seats. They're really, really nice. Kia are getting seats well at the moment, I think. They've got the mesh head restraint like they get in the EV9, which is just lovely. It's one of the nicest head restraints I've sat in. There's a good amount of lateral support and a good amount of side support down your thighs. But the big thing for me, I've got to say, is the material use. I really like it in here. It's really nice. There is a bit of plastic, but it's like on the door panel. It's a really different style of plastic. I don't know how to describe it. It's hard. It's like a marbled effect plastic, but it's obviously from a recycled something. And I think it looks really cool. I just like it. I'm not saying I'm a big fan of this beige as much as I'm wearing beige trousers. Do you know what I mean? But that's obviously, you can have it in different colours, and that's fine. But as I say, I like the fact there is enough physical buttons combined with screens that we know work well. Obviously, you'll get things like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which you know is a given. And then, but as I say, there's just enough physical buttons around the car to make it usable, not scary. You know, so as I say, if you're coming from a combustion engine older car, if you've had a Kia Ceed, you know, an older Ceed or an older Golf or something like that, and you're moving up to this car, this isn't going to scare you. Not like the touch-sensitive stuff that Volkswagen are doing at the moment. And it's a bit more modern than, dare I suggest, maybe say Stellantis are doing, although I do like the Peugeot interior. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. It's a nice middle ground, I think. Now, what was the other thing I needed to talk to you about when it comes to the interior? There was something else I wrote down here. Oh yeah, ADAS systems. More ADAS systems in the car. Oh, good. Including Highway Driving Assist 2 technology, with more integration with those and the cars in the DriveWise package. And of course, the aim is to get to Euro NCAP 5. So yeah, you're going to have your usual stuff, you know, and almost like your advanced driving systems where you're going to have some form of self-driving technology with lane keep assist, lane centering and all the rest of it. Thankfully, however, Kia are very good at being able to turn it off quite quickly, so hopefully that will continue this. But yeah, I have to say, I like this. It's all very well good talking about plastics, Brian, but how far does it go on a charge? That's what you want to know, isn't it? Okay, so of course you get your charging port here over here on the front wing here. Never the best place for a charging port in my opinion, but there you go, that's where it is. Right, So it's built on the eGMP platform, as you'd expect. So it shows you the modularity of this sort of platform. You can go from small car to large car to big SUV, C-sector hatchback, D-sector saloon. Job done. There are two battery sizes with the EV4, and this is both hatch and saloon we're talking about now, okay? So they both get the same. So you kick off with a 58.3 kilowatt hour battery, which will give, according to WLTP figures, 255 miles in the hatchback and 267 miles in the saloon. Okay, if you need more, you can go up to an 81.4 kilowatt hour battery, and that will allow for a range of up to 367 miles in the 5-door and the maximum of 391 in the saloon, because it's a slightly slippier shape, so it gets better efficiency on that. Okay, benchmark charge of 10 to 80% falls either side of 30 minutes depending on the battery. It's either 31 or 29 minutes depending on those. And the car comes with vehicle to load and vehicle to grid as standard, thanks to its 400 volt architecture. So there's no 800 volt architecture on this size of GMP platform, okay, that's reserved for the bigger cars. However, you do get an onboard 11 kilowatt charger as standard, although given Kia's history in this area, a heat pump's probably going to be an option, folks. Right, well obviously we're going to have to wait till we drive the car, which hopefully will be at some point this year. I'll talk about when it's going to be coming out later on. I can't really tell you an awful lot about it other than just giving you sort of like some basic stats of it. So it's a front mounted motor, delivers 201 horsepower, single motor for the moment. That's not to say that a GT dual motor car isn't waiting in the wings somewhere, who knows. Means a 0 to 60 time around about between 7.4 and 7.7 seconds, depending obviously on the battery size. Smaller battery cars quicker to 60 because it's lighter. There you go. What else have we got? Oh, this is interesting. McPherson struts up the front, optimised for an electric vehicle, they say. Because obviously the cars are heavier. So it's got more sort of like independent tuning for those McPherson strut style of suspension at the front to cope with the EV's weight, which I thought was quite interesting. Multi-link rear end, which is always quite good, and you frequency responsive valves in the dampers, and that should ensure a good balance between ride, quality and handling as well. And given Kia's products of late, I've no reason to doubt them with that. But obviously, as I say, we're going to have to wait until we put it through the actual road test that car buyers trust when it comes to choosing their next electric vehicle. Which one is it, I hear you say? The AutoEV one. Now, no prices have been announced as yet for UK or sort of like final sort of like trims. I expect the usual Air, GT Line S, or whatever they call it, Pure, whatever it is now. I think the production cars get Pure, these get Air. I don't know, but there's usually 3 trim levels within the range, so expect that sort of hierarchy, if you like. But as I say, no prices at the moment. If I was a gambling man, it's going to start somewhere probably in the late 30s and go up to about 50. But as I said, there's no prices announced, so don't take my word for it. I could be way off kilter with that. You will get Kia's 7-year warranty with it, however, which is always quite a good thing, I think. Now, interesting here. So, as I said, the hatchback's been produced primarily for Europe in mind. So much so they're going to build it in Europe. It's been built in Slovakia. So the saloon actually starts production first, which is built in Korea in March and goes on sale in the Korean market there in March. And then obviously that car's are going to, I think that car will do well in North America as well, probably. But the hatchbacks for us, this is the car they've built for us. So, you know, fair play to them on that. I'd expect sales to sort of commence probably in the second half of 2025 for this car. So talk to your local Kia dealer now, get your name down on the list if this thing tickles your pickle. Now, this part of the review, the competition part, is the bit I find quite interesting, because I find it interesting where Kia are pitching this car, because they're saying it's a C-sector hatchback and a D-segment saloon in some respects. So it's upper C-segment for the hatch, D segment there, so they're covering the 2 sectors with 2 body styles of the same car. I think that's quite clever. Rover did a very similar thing with the 400 years ago. The last of the 400s, which then became the 45. It was sort of Golf size, but then also eked into Mondeo size with the saloon model. There's a wee fact for you. Anyway, I'm blethering. Volkswagen ID3, Vauxhall Astra, Peugeot E308, Renault Megane E-Tech. There's your starter for 10 when it comes to the C-sector hatchback size of car. Okay, that's what I think this one competes with. If you then look at the saloon, if you're interested in the 4-door, then of course you're going to be looking at things such as the Tesla Model 3, the Hyundai Ioniq 6, the BYD Seal, Polestar 2, maybe even the BMW i4. So that's the sort of market sectors that we're covering with both of these cars. The 5-door C sectors with the ID3, Megane, 308 Astra set, and the saloons where, of course, you get your Polestar 2s, your BYD Seals, and of course your Ioniq 6. Ta-da! 2 for 1. My analogy of that prize fighter right at the start of this sneak peek, I think, is quite apt, because Kia just seem to be doing exactly that. They just seem to be delivering blow after blow to their competitors. No one can really keep up with them. If you think about it, 10 years ago, Kia came to the electric car market in the UK with things such as the Soul EV, and then of course a few years later they gave us the e-Niro. You know, they were good, you know, they were good cars, but they weren't exactly exciting stuff. They make really good second-hand buys now, don't get me wrong. But lately, it's just the stuff they've come out with. Back then, you know, whilst they were great to have them in the marketplace, people were all about Tesla. Tesla this, Tesla that. You know, Tesla aren't around delivering cars with the same energy that Kia are now. New product I'm talking about, not just sales. It's new car after new car we're seeing. And they're not just making up numbers. They're class-leading cars in each sector. The EV9, which has gone after the big SUVs, that's a phenomenal car. The EV3, one of the best cars I've driven back the end of last year, and a great family car. The EV6, I think, is still the driver's choice in that sort of medium sector crossover style of electric car. And now we've got another one that's breaking into the C sector hatchback and the D segment saloon, where there are some big players playing. Kia aren't going to be here to make up their numbers. Absolutely not. They're here to deliver another knockout. And if they get it right with this and its pricing, I can't see any other result. Thank you for watching another sneak peek on AutoEV. As always, please make sure you are subscribed to the AutoEV channel. Then once you've done that, press the little bell button that's down below, because that's the way you get notified when the next video is uploaded and it has gone live. If you have enjoyed this sneak peek, then please give it a little thumbs up, and as always, don't forget, leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about Kia's new EV4. As I say, would this tempt you out of an ID3 or a Renault Megane E-Tech, or the saloon version out of your BYD Seal or your Polestar 2? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Now remember, we're also across on all social media platforms, so Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, we're all there. So if you could give us a follow there as well, that certainly does help the channel. And remember, if you're interested in getting yourself an electric car, might not be a new Kia EV4, maybe you're thinking about one of those early Kia e-Niros now, you're thinking, actually, they're good value for money, but I need to know a bit more about them before I go and buy one. How am I going to find out? Well, I'll tell you how. Stay on the AutoEV YouTube channel. Just at the top there, you'll see a little magnifying glass. If you type the name of the car you're interested in there, if it's been a new electric vehicle that we've reviewed in the last 4 or 5 years, then of course it's the road test that car buyers actually trust when it comes to choosing their next electric vehicle. And that, folks, it's still the AutoEV one. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for putting up for a slightly rushed sneak peek this week. I'll see you again soon.